Gen X grew up on late-night warnings.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Scared, straight.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
And were inspired by movies that defined a generation.
We were all pretty bizarre. Some of us are just better at hiding it, that's all.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get out to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
I feel the need for speed.
We found our attitude in comedy.
I'm Gumby, damn it.
You see that sign?
No shirt, no shoes,
No dice!
Right. Learn it. Know it. Live it.
And our identity in pop culture.
I want my MTV!
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV!
Who you talking about, Willis?
Keep your feet in the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
This is Gen X Men with Bill Rowland and Gary Dollarhide.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
All right, welcome in episode 24, almost a quarter century. What is the 25th anniversary? Is that gold? What
Silver?
is silver? Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I
it.
think
We're
50
close
is
to it.
gold. Yeah.
All right, so we're close to the silver.
We're getting there.
24. Bill Rowland here, Gary Dollarhide there in the hinterlands of central Maine, although you are on the coast for the winter, so
Yes.
all good.
But-
How was the past week? Last we talked was a week ago, Thursday. It is March 5th as we record this one. How has the week been?
Well, it's March Madness has kicked off here, let me tell you. We are going to have our third snowstorm this Friday. So
Excellent.
right.
How much are they expecting?
Well, so here's the main situation. It is starting to warm up. We're creeping the 30s and 40s, but you're getting these freak little 1 to 3 inch snowstorms.
Right.
So we had one on Sunday, we had one on Tuesday, and now we're going to have another one on Friday. It'll lay down, it'll melt because we're going through the big melt right now. But
Right.
just the fact that in March, especially if you're like me from the South and like you, 3 snowstorms in 1 week is a little bit crazy.
It's a bit much. I do remember, and we'll get into more talking about conference basketball stories. I do remember when you're going to Richmond, when Mason was in the CAA and the tournament was in Richmond every year. I do remember driving down. This would have been when the tournament was like Friday, Saturday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. The finals used to be on Monday.
Finals on Monday night. That was always a pain. Yep.
So I can remember we were driving down on Friday and it's snowing. And Monday afternoon, I went with some friends and we went and played 18 holes of golf and it was 65 degrees like 2 days later. We got like 3 inches of snow. 2 days later, it was warm enough and dry enough that we went out. I mean, you had to be cart path, but we went out and played golf. But I was just like, it's anytime it snows in March, I always think about that, about driving down from Northern Virginia to Richmond on Friday morning to get there for the noon game. And it's snowing. And we ended up getting like 2 or 3 inches of snow. I don't think Richmond got quite as much. And then by Monday, I'm out playing golf at 65 and I'm in shorts and a pole. It was just crazy stuff.
And that's what I try to explain to my friends here who are natives. I said, the mark of spring was always the CAA tournament, right? First weekend of March, typically. And by then you might wear a long sleeve t-shirt, maybe, but you're in shorts. Like it's changed. We're moving on. Whereas here, like I said, this week, not that it shuts anything down, not that it's horrible and we're all bunkered in. 3 snowstorms in 1 week. So yeah, I miss those days completely of, yep, at this point, give me my shorts, give me my t-shirt, and let's go.
Yeah, we went a couple of years ago. I mean, I guess it's been, it was COVID. So it must have been 2021 maybe. I went with my cousin. He's from Maine. And we took his kids and flew up. And my mom went along because we were visiting his mom, my aunt, her sister. So we took the kids to Maine. And it was April, and it snowed while we were there. And he and I drove to Boston to take in a Red Sox game. And again, they got 2 or 3 inches, maybe 4 inches of snow in Maine. 2 days later, we're in Boston. It's 65 and sunny, and we're loving it. And we get back, drive home to Maine that night. And the next day, it's 42 degrees and the wind's blowing the rain sideways. I mean, we got like one day. We lucked out. It was one day that it was beautiful. The days prior and the days after, it was awful. And I was like, I could not do this. I could not live here and have it be like April 5th or whatever. It was a late spring break. I think it was 2021. And it was like, there's no way. I couldn't do this all the time. But they just kind of shrug their shoulders and go, it's
Maine. It's Maine, right? And that's what people do here. I mean, it is fortunately this week. I mean, we're still in the 30s. It's a bright and sunny 30. But then all of a sudden Friday, they're calling for, you'll get 3 to 5 inches of snow. Like, what?
Now we're done. It's going to be 80 here on the weekend. So it's over.
Really?
We're not getting any more snow. It's over. It's
jealousy from here, let me tell you.
No, it's
because I'm looking ahead at the forecast, and we're starting to creep into the 60s, like the first, in April. Like that's how far ahead I'm looking to kind of see that transition time. It's like, April.
It's gonna be 80s here. It's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be wonderful. I cannot wait. Done with it. All right. So March has started. There's a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, March Madness. Everybody thinks of the NCAA tournament. We'll talk a little bit about that over the next couple of weeks. As you're still about 10 days away from Selection Sunday, so we don't really know who's going to be where or anything like that. But we also had another war start, and it just seems like this craziness continues to go on over and over and over again. And we're not going to get into the whole idea of if this is a good thing, a bad thing, if they're doing what they should do or what they shouldn't do, because ultimately it's not up to any of us. So it's really not worth trying to break it down because nobody's listening to us anyway. Even if we're doing it, nobody at the Pentagon is listening, so it doesn't matter. But it did make me think, and you and I were talking about, being Gen X. We remember, obviously, we miss Vietnam because the first of us were born in 1965, so none of us were old enough to go off to Vietnam. So our first real dealing with war would have been the first Gulf War, what started in 91, right? Is that am I remembering correctly?
Yes.
So not to put it out there, my mom will not be happy with this if she were to hear it, but that's okay. My mom worked for the Department of Defense, and my mom worked for basically her department where she worked at. She was not at the Pentagon at this time, but she worked with the folks in Saudi Arabia and Israel. I mean, she did a bunch of different stuff. I don't know if you remember this or not. This is obviously pre-cell phone, so it wasn't a cell phone thing. We were hanging out in your dorm room in what you were in Commonwealth, correct?
Yes, that would have been our sophomore year. Yep.
So, this would have been junior year. This would have been 90-91 or 91-92, I think. When did it?
It was 91-92 because I graduated spring of 93. So,
right. All right, hold on. I got to look it up now. When did
Gulf War on August 2nd, 1990. They invaded on 90.
August 2nd.
Military buildup August 90 to January 91. And Operation Desert Storm from bombing.
Right. Okay, it was prior to. I'm trying to remember exactly how this went, but maybe we were hanging out. I don't remember.
I thought we were in Lincoln, which was sophomore year over in President's Park.
I'm trying to remember because if it was 90, you guys wouldn't have been back up for school yet, right? In August?
No,
we must have been,
no.
We were hanging out somewhere else. It had to have been because I remember talking to my mom and having her. Maybe it wasn't you and I that were hanging out. Maybe I was hanging out with some of the guys. Hold on a second. No. It started in 91.
Yeah.
I'm looking up the History Channel. I know this is really, really boring to people, but I got to get this exactly right.
Well, we got to get the timing right.
Yeah. So I'm looking because we were back in school. Let's see.
Desert Shield was build up from the 2nd of August 90 to January 16th, 91. Then it turned to Operation Desert Storm, January 17th through February 28th, 91.
That's it. January 17th. That's the date that I'm looking for. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So January 17th, we are in school.
Yep. Just getting back.
We're just getting back, whatever it may be. I think you might have stayed up because we were doing basketball stuff, or you may have come back early, whatever it was. Anyway, I just remember being in the dorm around with you guys, and for whatever reason, calling my mom and her saying, "Are you what are you guys doing? Are you going out this, tonight? What's your plan?" And I said, "Well, we're not sure. We don't know what we're doing yet." And she goes, "You might want to stay in and watch CNN." And I was like, "Why would I do that?" And all she said was, "You're probably going to want to watch CNN." So she knew, she had prior knowledge of what was going on, because obviously working for the DOD and the people that she worked with, they knew that everything had been escalating, everything else. So I remember that and being like, "Oh, see, my mom would not appreciate me telling these stories," because she always said, "Oh, no, I never." I mean, she swears something. "Oh, no, I would never. I never." I'm like, "Yeah, you did. You're also a weapons trader, Mom. So let's not go. Let's not get into the things of what you did and didn't do." So,
you should get her the T-shirt that says that retired weapons trader.
I mean, that's basically what she was. She would get mad. She'd be like, "That's not weird." I'm like, "Well, when you went to these countries and you were signing the treaties with these people, or whatever you were doing with the generals that you went with, what were you doing? We're going to give you weapons. You have to give us other stuff." That's a weapons trader. That's the way I look at it. I mean, did we have missiles sitting in our backyard? No, we didn't have a stockpile that she was pulling from, but she did go with one of the stories that she tells all the time is we'll get into this, and this was about the time, again, Gulf War-ish time. She went to Saudi Arabia because that was the detail that she was attached to. So they went, and she was the secretary, for lack of a better word, whatever you want to call them now. She was a secretary back then, and they would have to go to the same, I guess it was kind of like, I don't know if it was their version of the Pentagon, but it was a military installation there in Saudi Arabia. And of course, they don't look at that time, and it's probably still like today, they don't look very kindly on women being in positions of any kind of authority, right? So every day when she would come and show up with the generals, the U.S. generals that were going to these meetings with their Saudi counterparts, she would get stopped at the entrance, and the guards would not allow her to enter into the building. So the first day this happened, the U.S. generals were like, "Well, either she comes in or we're leaving. We're not doing it." They weren't going to leave her. They're like, "No, she's with us."
Yep.
And the guards who were, again, lower level were like, "No, we can't do that. It's our orders. No women, whatever." And so they were like, "Well, go get your bosses." So, it took a while, but they finally came down and they spoke to them, and then they let my mom in. Every single day that they showed up, even though they knew what the outcome was going to be, they stopped my mom at the entrance and said, "You cannot come in." And they'd be like, "All right, let's go through this dog and pony show. Go get your superiors." And then they would come down and they would speak to the guards, and then she'd be allowed to let in. What it was that she eventually kind of figured out through talking to other people was those guys knew that they weren't keeping her out, but they also, so for them, they had to do their job, or other people would be like, "You caved, you let this woman, through." So they knew as long as their superiors came and said it was okay, they wouldn't get any flack from people. So that's how they had to do it for like a week. She had to do this every day. They'd show up and be like, "Hey guys, we're back." Because she's like, it's the same guards every day. And they just were like, "Nope, you can't come in." Okay, go get your superiors. Anyway, so there was all that. The best part of us covering the war, though, was actually at WGMU at the college radio station. And I think this was your idea, if I remember correctly. That I was doing one of the morning shows. I forget which day of the week it was. It doesn't matter. But I was just doing the morning show like 9 to noon or something. And you were the program director at the time. And we had the old AP rip and read wire. For those who don't know what that is, you would get, there's this like basically computer dot matrix printer.
Yep.
And anytime you could set it, it was literally the feed from the Associated Press. No different. We had the same thing, like the Washington Post would have the same thing. So we had all of this stuff. And you could set which things it would print, weather, news, sports, whatever it was. So it didn't print everything, but you could go to the terminal, scroll through the early computers, scroll through what you wanted. And if you found a story for us, if there are music stories, like, oh, we should print that out. They're talking about, whatever band. Or we'd print out the news or whatever. And the kids that were in the radio class would have to go and do a newscast.
Rip and read.
Yeah, rip and read the news, rewrite it, whatever you want to do. So we had a friend of ours, Scott Pardue, who I don't think he was even working at the station.
Nope.
I think he was hanging out.
He always hung out because his brother had been the program director before me. He was just,
He's
a
WGB
fan. Right. He was just a buddy. So he was hanging out there.
So I was on the air, and we decided we should report on what's going on with Desert Storm. Because at this point, it had been not a joke, but I mean, it was pretty evident that this wasn't going to last very long. I mean, it was kind of one of those things where it's like, it wasn't like heavy, like World War II stuff. And I remember we got a little CD at the time of sound effects. So I had the CD in doing the sound effects. You guys were we had our air studio, and then right behind it with a glass window was the production room. So you and Scott were in the production room and called on the phone from the production room into the air studio.
Live
from
the battlefield.
I think we said you guys were maybe in Kuwait. I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it's Kuwait.
Maybe
because the story was we were there as the closest we could get is what I was trying to remember. We couldn't embed, but that was as close as we could get.
Correct.
And Scott, being just the creative genius he is, went into his full British accent because he could do it.
Yes.
So he was the partner of mine describing the scene of the bombs coming in. And it was, radio glory. Like, they should teach that in the creative classes now. Like, yes, it was fake, but the reality was production, the creativity that went into it, how we did it. Like, that should be a class in itself. So
I just remember the best thing, because we did it a couple different times.
Yes.
But I just remember the best thing that he did was talking again, doing his British accent. And, we're like, okay, Gary, who's with you? And we made up some name for him or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, now, Gary, we have to be careful because the shelling, you need to put your gas mask on. Do you remember this part about it?
Put your gas mask
on. And then he goes, I hope you guys can still hear me.
I know.
The gas mask on. I mean, it was, for him to think of that in the moment was brilliant.
Yeah. And then what I can always hear it in my head, it's the one thing I really, really remember, was he was describing the sound of the shelling.
Yes.
And it was a booming sound.
Like a booming.
It was a booming.
Booming, yes. Yeah. And even better, that was fun in and of itself. Yes. We had a good time with that. And again, you were reading the actual news. So, I mean, we did put out some information. But the best part was there was a visiting, and I don't remember why he was coming to talk to the head of our comm department.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember why he was there, but said to our faculty advisor, was just so impressed on how we were able to actually link up with somebody who was there in Kuwait to give the news.
Right?
And we're like, what? The guy's he's behind me in the production. Like, what are you talking about?
This is
But I don't think we ever
Mercury
told the
Theater.
guy what was going on.
Orson Welles would have been impressed with this.
Yeah, I don't think we ever said to the guy, well, no, that was completely faked. I think we were just like, yeah, well, you know,
we do what we can.
It's
But also, someone complained that there was something going on. They said, well, if the university can spend the money to send students to Kuwait to cover the war, then they can do this, that, and the other. And again, it was the whole, oh, you thought that was real. Okay, cool. All right.
That might have been, was that at the next program board meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So a complaint was lodged, not again specifically to us, not talking about what we did, but it was in reference to if the university had the money to send students to Kuwait to cover the war, then the university had money to do XYZ itself.
Right.
And it was like, oh, all right. We did well then.
That was,
and of course, the funniest part to me is, let me lay the picture for you people.
Yeah, please.
WGMU was a closed current radio station. I can't remember. Right. So you could only get it if you were on campus plugged in, right? So it's not a full broadcast. It was just on campus. And I mean, you would think at any time there might be one person listening. And that was probably the person that was on the air. So the fact that, you know, we have this visiting guest hear it, and then somewhere along the line, someone else heard it, filed a complaint to say that they were spending money to send that's the amazing part to me. Yeah. Is that it even got out of our little sphere in Thompson Hall.
I think wasn't it also carried on the Fairfax
cable
channel or something? So you could get it more. But yeah, it used to be called, was it not closed circuit? It was called something else.
Yeah, my mind blanked because I had it and then it went away right then.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, no AM. This was before we got the AM antenna on top of Fenwick Library. This was before I think we even wired the ceiling so that they could hear it down in the comm office, because we did that as well. That might have been after you graduated.
I thought that was the next year, because we had those two engineer guys that were just like, yeah, we'll do it. And just would wire up anything.
Well, Chris Nicholson and I ran we wired up the bathrooms with old car speakers that I had lying around at my house, because people want to be able to hear, like, while you're playing a song, while you're doing your shift, if you needed to run out the bathroom, which is right around the corner, you want to be able to hear if, the song's ending, I got to hurry, like whatever it is. So we put them in the bathrooms. And then the secretary from the comm department, which was all the way down at the end of the hall in Thompson Hall, said, I'd love to be able to listen to you guys down there. How can I do that? That's so cool that you have speaker. And we're like, well, we could wire your office. And she was like, that'd be great. So Chris Nicholson and I took out the ceiling tiles and ran probably 75 feet worth of wire from WGMU all the way down the hall, and then dropped it into her office. I mean, we did a nice job, had it nice and covered so you couldn't see the wires, and put a little speaker on her desk that had a volume thing. I don't remember where we got that from, but we had a little volume thing so she could turn it down. Oh, it was great. It was glorious.
I looked up carrier current radio.
Carrier current. That's it. Yes.
Uses the building's electrical grid. So
yes.
I had to look it up because I'm like, I can't believe I'm blanking on this. So,
which I'm sure is it's probably, all
it's
of us
now a less common method of broadcasting low power AM through existing electrical wiring in buildings, popular for college campuses, hospitals, and military bases.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And then we put an antenna up on Fenwick Library, and that lasted a few years, and then they got rid of it.
Yeah.
All that time and effort that we spent. And now again, I think you could hear us better then than you can now on campus, other than the fact that you can pick up your cell phone and stream it through your cell phone. But they're not. Yeah. They're in the Johnson Center now. So whatever.
And that's the only place they broadcast now? Or what? Yeah. I mean, I guess that's my question. It's streaming only, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's no antenna at all. The antenna's been gone for years. I don't know if they've taken it down or if it's still up on Fenwick and it's just not active. I don't know what they what they ended up doing. But yeah,
Put
so
a
that
plaque
was
on it.
that was fun when we covered the Iraq War back
Right.
in 1991.
But as an educational thing, and that's what you should be doing. I mean,
yes.
Right? It's I mean, a serious thing, don't get me wrong, but the fact that there's no way any of us were ever going over there, and again, this was supposed to be where we're learning our craft and doing everything. I would say that was pretty impressive and ranked up there, that the professionals would be like, wow, that sounded because it sounded good. We did a fantastic job.
Yes, it sounded legit. Scott did a fantastic job. You did a fantastic job reading the news. Again, I wish I used to have that on an old reel-to-reel tape that I recorded on as we did it. I wish I still had that. I know I don't, because I threw out all my reel-to-reel stuff. So
no, I mean, I would love to have it just to play it for my son. He'd be like, "What? I'm like, this is what we did. This is the fun times."
It would have been amazing. But all right, as I teased and promised on a couple of X posts and everything else, we got to get to the other March Madness story from the 90s. This is now, and I can't believe it's been this long, 32 years ago, and it actually would be 32 years ago tomorrow, March 6th into March 7th. So the next couple of days, it'll be 32 years since I met one, not just me, but a lot of us, but for this purpose on this show, since I met the legendary Frank Sinatra in the lobby of the Jefferson Hotel in Richmond, Virginia. So, again, you
set the stage for us.
This was the CAA tournament, and we were terrible. This was 1994. So this would have been, I think, the first year of Westhead. I think that's right. Or maybe it was the last year of Nestor.
Because that would have been the year after I graduated.
I'll have to look it up.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was kind of going with it because I was working full time. That's why I wasn't kind of there. And I know Ernie got, I want to say that would have been the first year of Westhead. That makes sense to me.
It was the first year of Westhead because Nestor's final year was 92-93, your senior year.
Yes.
So it would have definitely been Paul Westhead.
Yep.
Yes. So 93-94. So and we were terrible. I mean, we went 10-17. We were awful. And we're down there though for the CAA tournament, and we played North Carolina Wilmington. That was the infamous, and I don't know that you'll remember this, the 197 overtime game that we lost to Wilmington, where we had a chance to win a couple different times and obviously ended up not winning. So for some reason, and I think it's because it was Paul Westhead and he was coming, obviously he'd been at Loyola Marymount, former Lakers coach. Everything that we did was like top of the line. For like being a CAA team, it was like, what are we doing staying at these places? Like, it was like, at times it didn't make any sense that we were spending this kind of money to stay at different places that we did. But we stayed at the Jefferson Hotel because that's what Westhead wanted to do. He didn't want to stay at the Marriott or the Omni or the, Radisson. No, we were staying at the Jefferson Hotel.
And for those not familiar with Richmond, like that was the premier hotel. Like it was old, but it was this grand staircase. I mean, it was like you walked in, it was marbled, and you're just like, oh.
Yes.
It wasn't like you said the Marriott next door to the Coliseum, which was corporate America and boring. And
no, this had the ornate wooden, like, what do you call it? Not staircase. The staircase was marble, but it had like the old oak, like all this kind of stuff. It was very ornate.
There's like a stained glass dome, and I mean, it's been
around. I want to say it's been around since the Civil War.
Yes, I mean it's what I'm explaining to people. This is not where you typically send basketball players and a team, right, to stay. This place is probably the 5-star for Richmond, Virginia.
I remember when we pulled up because again, thinking about what it used to be like when we would stay at the Marriott or the Radisson, and we would pack our beer ahead of time and bring it with us. And I remember pulling up in probably at the time, I was probably driving my parents' like 88 Cavalier or something, like whatever it was. It wasn't like a nice car. And I started pulling up, and then like the bellhops.
I would say you had valet and stuff. Yeah.
It was like 22. The valets come running out and they're opening your door, and my then girlfriend's with me, and I'm just like, what the? And I'm like, I was like, I'm gonna self park because I'm not paying for you to valet this joint, because I would do that. And they're like, no, well, we'll take your stuff. Do you know what room you're in? I'm like, no, I haven't checked in yet. And they're like literally putting stuff on their cart, and they're pulling out the beers, and I'm like, I could take the no, it's fine. I'm like, you guys are cool with this? Like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So they're like literally like 2 cases of beer because like we thought we might be there for more than a game, which was dumb. But anyway, so they're putting the stuff in and taking it up, and I'm like, all right, this is really strange, but okay, here we go. So we go to the game, we lose the game. So we're drinking down in the hotel bar. Again, very ornate, amazing place. And we see, I don't know how, but another friend of ours, Brian Kitchen, like recognized somehow that Frank Sinatra Jr. was sitting at the bar across the way with, like, I guess, other people from Frank Sr.'s band. How they figured that out, I'm still a little hazy on. 32 years later, whatever it is. So he went over and he's like, I'm going to go talk. I'm like, I'm not going to bother. Even then, I was like, I'm not bothering celebrities. Like, he's Frank Sinatra. The only reason he's famous is because he came from Frank Sinatra's penis. That's it. It's the only reason he's
right.
He happened to Lucky Sperm Club. That's what he won. So, but Kitchen went over and hung out with them and everything. So we're down there and we're drinking. And finally, like 1:30 in the morning, they were like, all right, that's it. Done. Off to bed. So it's me, my girlfriend at the time, Marie, and I forget who else was with us. We go walking. The bar was in the bottom, the ground floor or the basement of the hotel. And you have to walk up this big, huge marble staircase with the big ornate wooden oak handrail and everything. I mean, it's unbelievable. And we're feeling pretty good, even though we had lost that day. And as you start getting higher and higher up the staircase, you can start seeing people staying in the lobby. And we see Jay and Carolyn Marsh. For those people that are Mason folks, you know Jay and Carolyn Marsh. They were around forever with Mason. She was the secretary for them for a number of years. Fortunately, passed away last year. Jay's still around. But they're standing there, and we're like, and again, it's funny to say this now because they were younger than I am now. But they're standing there. I'm like, what are the Marshes doing up? It's like 2 a.m. Like, they're too old to be like, what are these old people doing up? You know, again, we're like early 20s. And then we keep walking up and we see a couple more people. And we're like, who are they hanging out with? And then you got closer. And it was the realization that, oh my God, that's Frank Sinatra. They're talking to Frank Sinatra. This is crazy. So we went walking over there, and there's probably adding us to the group. It was Frank and his one bodyguard, big black guy, bodyguard for Frank. And then like the Marshes, and I forget a couple other older adults. And then there's maybe only 4 or 5 of us kids. I'll say kids. I think Chris Nicholson was there. I think he was one of them. And we're just standing there. I'm like, this is mind-blowing. Like, this is Frank Sinatra. So he's like shaking everybody's hands, and he must have just come up because they hadn't been in conversation very long. So he's talking to us, nicest guy in the world, and he's like, what are you guys doing here? Why are you out so late? And we were just like, oh, we had a basketball tournament today. Told him George Mason. He probably had no idea what George Mason was. And he's like, oh, how'd it go? And we're like, oh, well, we lost in overtime, so it kind of sucks. And we're like, that's why we're downstairs drinking. And he goes, yeah. He goes, you guys had a rough night. I had it worse. They already closed the bar down on me. He's like, I had my own private bar room going. He goes, they came to me and said, Frank, that's it. We can't serve anymore. And he goes, what are you talking about? And
Who does that?
Yeah, he's like, they're like, sorry, Mr. Sinatra, you got to go. He goes, so here I am. So he goes, I think I got a worse night than you guys did. Like, we all laughed. Like, he's drunk. Frank's hammered. And he was hammered. So he's shaking everybody's hand. And my girlfriend, Marie, kind of knew who he was, but not like she wasn't like the rest of us, like, oh my God, this is Frank Sinatra. So she's standing there like just a little bit behind me. He gets to me, shakes my hand. He's like, oh, nice to meet you. And then goes like this, like takes his arm, puts it on my shoulder, moves me out of the way. And he's like, hello. And yes. He was like, and who's this? And I've got, because I sent a little thing out on Instagram. So let me pull it up. I asked her, I put the thing on and said, hey, we're gonna be talking about the Sinatra story. And I said, I wonder if Marie, and I tagged her, remembers what she said to him. So here's her thing. She said, I had lost my voice from yelling at the game. When he asked me why I didn't want to talk to him since she was just standing there in silence. She said he really was the nicest. He sat there and talked with all of us for a while until the bodyguard said it was time to go. So, yeah, she was just standing there, and he's like, why aren't you involved in the conversation? I'm like, oh, my God, Frank Sinatra is hitting on my girlfriend. What is going on?
Bumped you.
He literally moved me out of the way. He's like, who's this? And she's like, oh, Mr. Sinatra. Like, like her voice was gone. I do remember that. So, yeah. So
but you guys kept him up too late. That's the other part. You guys kept him up too late.
We got to finish it. So we're all like, oh my God, this was amazing. Frank, and I remember as we're going up in the elevator to our rooms, because he went to finally his bodyguards were like, Mr. Sinatra, I think we should go. But I mean, he sat there. If we had camera phones back then, oh my gosh, I would have had 5 or 6 selfies with Frank Sinatra. And I'm not one of those guys that like takes pictures. I don't have pictures of celebrities. I've met a ton of athletes and celebrities and stuff over the years.
That one you have to have.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? I'm still to this day, I go, why didn't I just walk over to the concierge desk and get like something for him to sign?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't I have gone just to the front desk and be like, hey, you guys got a pen? Anything? I just want, like, they're dumb.
Should have had him sign Marie.
I could have. It was cool though to meet him. So we're going up in the elevator and we're joking around because we're just like, well, we still have beer up in the room, and we're like, no way, man, you got to keep it down because if you disturb Frank's sleep, you come down here and take care of us. They don't care. It's Frank Sinatra. He knows people. He's mob guys might be here and it'll be the end of all of us. But I remember saying to Marie, jokingly, sort of, but we were in there and I was like, if he'd asked you to come hang out with him in the room, you would have had to have gone, right? I was like, you wouldn't have had a choice. And she's like, what? And I was like, I don't care that he's like I think he was 78 at the time. I probably said 75. I was like, I don't care he's 75. It's Frank Sinatra. And if he wants to hang out with my girlfriend, I'm going to be like, of course. Why wouldn't you?
Say no.
Yeah, you're not going to say no to Frank. So anyway, so we leave the next day. I want to say it's a Sunday because I think this was, again, Saturday, Sunday, Monday tournament. So we check out Sunday morning. We don't see Frank. We even tried to like hang out in the lobby for a little bit and went to breakfast. Like, maybe we'll see him again. No, we didn't see him. So go home, and she's staying at her townhouse, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna head home. It's like, I hung out with her for the rest of the day. So it's like 11 o'clock. So like, I remember this because the 11 o'clock news was getting ready to start. And as I'm leaving, I shut the door to her bedroom. And I'm getting ready to walk out of her townhouse. And I hear her yell. And she goes, oh my God. And I'm like, what? So I go running back in. I'm like, what's wrong? Because I'm like, what is she screaming about? I just left her. She was in, getting ready to go to sleep. She's in bed. And she's like, look. And I look up and I just see the last tail end of them talking about Sinatra collapses in Richmond. And I was like, what in the world? Again, there's no internet at this point. You can't immediately jump on your phone and start scrolling for the news or checking Twitter or anything. I was just like, what? It just was Sinatra taken to hospital. And it was like, oh my gosh. So it comes out, he ends up being fine, but it comes out like a day or two later that they said he was quote unquote overheated. He collapsed while he was singing on stage at what was the Richmond Mosque, which was weird to me for it to be called that because it wasn't an Islamic place of worship. They just called it the Richmond Mosque, right?
Yes. Yeah, because it was built by, I can't remember which group, Scottish, right? Not the Masons, Shriners, et cetera, which a lot of their rituals and everything are based in old Egypt. So, i.e., the mosque. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's what, because when I first saw it, I was like, why would Sinatra be performing? Because again, I was 22. I didn't know any better. Like, why is he performing at a mosque? That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so it comes out that, they say later on, oh, he was suffering from, exhaustion and overheating and everything. And I was like, no, that dude was hungover. Well, he was probably, from what I remember, he was probably dehydrated.
I'm going to share with you
okay
what AI says.
What, who says?
AI,
oh, okay.
Google's AI overview talks about.
All right.
I'll just read it, but I'll get to the juicy part. On March 6, 1994, 78-year-old Frank Sinatra collapsed on stage at the Richmond Mosque while singing My Way during a sold-out concert. He fell forward, hitting his head on the speaker monitor due to dehydration, overheating, but was quickly taken to the Medical College of Virginia for observation, and later waved to fans while leaving in a wheelchair. Key details. Venue, the Richmond Mosque, now known as the Altria Theater. Cause. Sinatra was suffering from dehydration caused by a combination of hot stage lights, a diuretic medication, and reported late night drinking the night before at the Jefferson Hotel.
That's it right there. That's the one.
So it will not let me edit that my friend Bill and his girlfriend Marie were part of the group that kept him up drinking, but it's there. It says it, late night drinking the night before at the Jefferson.
Yes, so. That is 100% true. That is 100%. So that is the Sinatra story of meeting Frank and him hitting on my girlfriend at the time. And every year at this time, I send a message to Chris Nicholson. I send a text to her and I say, Happy Sinatra Day. So I'll tomorrow.
Having known that story, it always, because that was, again, I had graduated.
Right.
I was working full time. I don't think that's why I made it down there, or I had to leave and was not there that night. And to this day, I'm always like, oh, the one time. Another great March Madness story to go down in history that you made Sinatra collapse.
So, well, I didn't make him collapse. I know why he collapsed. But yeah, I mean,
you were a witness.
Yes. Yeah, cool. Well, that was the other thing. Like when, again, you didn't know because all the news said was Sinatra taken to hospital, whatever it was. They didn't have any details either. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, we might be some of the last people that had an actual conversation with Frank Sinatra. Like, that's crazy to think about. Like, this guy who, again, I always say, I wish I had the picture because A, it's Frank Sinatra, but B, when you start playing that 6 degrees of separation game, if you've got Sinatra as your first degree, boy, you can go back and be connected to a lot of different people. Yeah. So it would have been phenomenal for that reason. But I was like, we might have been some of the last people to talk to him. One of the greatest performers of the 20th century. And we might have been the last people to talk to him.
Well, it's just kind of, I look at it, so he was 78, so still touring, still getting hammered. So
still drink. Oh, yeah.
It's good for him, right?
Well, he said he's like, they shut down the bar. He goes, I had a bar and a piano. And he goes, they kicked me out. And I'm like, how freaking cool would that have been to just be sitting there in that room and he's got a piano going and somebody probably playing for him. And because I don't think he played piano. I don't think he had, he was just a singer. But how cool would that have been?
But my question is, and maybe this is where I get in trouble. If I'm the manager at the Jefferson, who am I to shut that down?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, if the Virginia ABC shows up, I'd be like, it's goddamn Sinatra. What do you want me to do? Right.
Right.
So that's not like Carrot Top.
Exactly.
Right?
I've thought about that over the years. I've also thought about, like, why didn't we say, hey, you got any extra tickets? Like, just because what's the worst he can do? Say no?
Yeah.
Be like, oh, okay. Like, I thought about, I'm like, why didn't we ask for tickets?
Well, I think it was sold out, wasn't it?
Because, well, I'm sure
you would have had the VIP passes.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I wonder if I had said, well, Frank, we're big fans. Maybe Marie and I could come to the show tomorrow. You got any extra tickets? That he might have said yes.
We'll drive you over in the Cavalier.
Because he was absolutely enamored with her.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it would have, he might have said, he might have been like, yeah, I'll get you some tickets. It'd have been cool. But
He got one ticket for her.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I only have one. All right, looks like you're going to see Sinatra, Murray. Have fun. Yeah, no, I mean, it was a great. Again, I've met a ton of different athletes, celebrities, over the years, a ton of different people, a lot of football players from my time working up in Baltimore. Ray Lewis. I've met and interviewed Johnny Unitas and everything like that. But I mean, it's Sinatra. Nothing comes close.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and there's a difference between performers and athletes, right? And
Sure.
Not busting them, just athletes, they just do their thing, where there's a next level with performers, and especially one of Sinatra's status of longevity and where he
Right.
fits. They're just different people. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and he's just, it comes from a different time.
yeah.
Now, I mean, I can't really think of who would be on that trajectory, or even is at that trajectory now in their mid 70s or something, that you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's this I can't think of anybody. I couldn't come up with anybody that comes close.
No,
at all.
No, I can't put my finger. I mean, because the only one that I know just off the top of my head still performing is Rod Stewart, but he's not that.
He wasn't the movie
wasn't,
icon.
No.
I mean, Sinatra won Academy. I think he won the Academy Award, right? Didn't he win an Academy Award?
Something.
For Here to Eternity, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah, no.
But I mean, yeah, there's nobody comes close to that. Not anymore. You just don't have those legendary guys that are out there doing. I mean, all right, maybe, and even not, I don't even know it'd be on the same level. Maybe I'd be that excited if I met Jack Nicholson. Maybe. Because he's another guy that was doing all of it.
Yeah.
Like he was, at the Playboy Mansion. He was doing all of these things. Like I'm sure he's got just ridiculous stories. Much like, Sinatra, again, being out in Vegas in the 60s and everything else like that. I mean, I'm sure it was just crazy. But I can't think of anybody else that would even come close.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm talking on a personal level. The only one that I would just be kind of that in awe of, if I could still see him today, even though it's not quite the same, would be Clint Eastwood. Just that longevity icon, like Dirty Harry, right? I mean, it's just like I said, and that's more personal for me. Others would be like, yeah, whatever, old guy, whatever. But to me, he would rank up in that level of icon of all time that's still around, that, if we saw him, want to shake his hand and
that makes sense, because I'm thinking like a 22-year-old today. Like, what 70-something-year-old person are they going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just met this guy? Like, I can't think of who it would be. I guess I'd have to ask a 22-year-old. I don't know.
Well, I've got kids to ask, so I'll ask them. Maybe come up with that answer. But I'm afraid of what that answer might be. They'd be like, what? Who?
Well, right. If you said who it's somebody that you would look at, that would be, well, they'd still be they'd be boomers.
Yeah.
Because that'd be, in their 70s. You'd have to, I guess that's how you'd have to phrase the question. What boomer would you be excited about meeting? Like as a celebrity, a star, a singer, whatever it was. And they'd probably be like, I don't know.
Yeah. Because I just don't think that sphere of influence historically is there for them. there's such an immediate generation, like right here, right now, what's recent, what's new. And, I just don't know who fits that category.
Yeah, fair point.
Fair
point. Speaking of your son,
yes,
this is something that a lot of Gen X parents will appreciate. Your son now has a new car.
Yep, finally broke down. He's been searching for 6-8 months now. Finally broke down and got himself a car. So he's been fortunate with his lifestyle, surviving a year at college and working in town near where he hasn't quite needed a car like you think we needed a car as soon as we were 16.
Right.
He was okay taking a bus. He was okay getting dropped off. He finally broke down and bought himself a 2024 Subaru Legacy sedan. So,
it's a 4-door?
It's a 4-door. Yes.
Look at that.
So it's the 4-door that Subaru makes. It's not one of the wagons. And, so, I mean, it's nothing special on the outside. I mean, it's just a black 4-door sedan, has all the bells and whistles inside, but I can already sense a change in his level of adventure and independence, talking about, I'm going to do this and I need to do that. And, do you want me to just come meet you? So, yes, it's quite an exciting time for him.
I just don't understand. And I had so many friends of mine that tell me that their kids just aren't excited about driving. And I never understood. I've never, ever understood that.
Yeah. My son, Tommy, Susan's kids, my stepkids, same thing. They were just late to get their driver's licenses. It just wasn't a thing, and just kind of survived until they meandered and got the licenses, and then meandered and got a car. And like you said, talking to other friends of mine our age with kids, it's just not a thing. And I just remember the countdown to turning 16 to be at the DMV that morning to get that license.
Yes.
And I don't know. It'd be different if we had full self-driving cars for Tesla everywhere and you didn't have to. So you kind of grew up. They still had to. No, they just not that push to get that driver's license, to get that independence for whatever reason.
Well, and I've never understood, like when we were growing up, would you ever gone and gotten into a car with a stranger?
No,
of course not.
No,
you were told constantly. And what do they do now? I'm not kidding. I see 12-year-old kids, 13-year-old kids getting picked up by Ubers and Lyfts to be taken home from like a practice or something. Like, there's no way. There's no chance I would ever put my kid in a car and just be like, good luck. Hope you get home. Like, right? I'm like, what are we doing? Like, you would never have gotten into a car with a stranger.
Yeah.
But I see parents do it. I'm like, what are we doing?
Well, I imagine there's a false sense of security there.
Yeah, very false.
Well, it's Uber and it's the car is tracked, and we know, and
okay.
Doesn't mean a weirdo can't work for them. So
right. Well, we've seen plenty of those stories, even with adult people that get stuck. Like, that's great that it's tracked, so you're gonna be able to figure out where he dumped the body, because that's all that's gonna happen.
Right.
That's all you're going to be able to do. Yeah, I've never understood that. Yeah, I'm with you. 16 at the DMV, got my license, drove my mom home from the DMV, and then said, see you later. Because I was actually working, my birthday's in the summer. So we were working vacation Bible school at the First Baptist Church of Alexandria. So I went and dropped my mom back home and said, okay, I'm driving to vacation Bible school. And that was not a close, it wasn't like the church was 2 blocks away from our house. It was going from one end of Fairfax County into the city of Alexandria. I mean, it's a 25, 30-minute drive at that point. It probably be about the same now. But I was like, see you later. I'm going. and my mom was like, all right, well, be safe. You have your license. Like, they didn't care.
Yep.
So, again, they had to be reminded that they had kids at 10 o'clock at night sometimes. So,
Well, mine was in November, and I remember we went to the DMV, and I drove them home because both my parents had gone with me. But I did have a vehicle, so we had to pass the high school to go all the way back home,
right?
Drop them off so I could get in the truck and then drive to school. And it,
There you go.
Right. Going to show up in a 63 GMC that was rusted out, but God bless it, I had a license and a way to get around, and that's what mattered.
You had
Did
your
not matter.
car, and I bet it was I bet that truck was awesome.
I would love to have that thing back, even in its condition that it was, because it was just, you shifted on the column.
Yeah.
I mean, metal doors, crank windows, the triangle window in the front, AM radio only. I mean, and it was just the bed was rusted. It was rust, white, and black. So you had all three colors going on. Big bench seat, no seat belts.
Right.
It was fantastic. The thing would rumble down the road.
My first car, it had lap belts because it was an old 65 Mustang was the first thing that I drove on the regular to school. Same thing, AM radio, crank windows, no power steering. I mean, no power brakes, any of that stuff. Yeah, no. Didn't have
and what I love to this day, it's just one of those things. You lift the hood, huge engine because it's a big truck engine, but there was still like 3 feet of room on each side to get in and work on it, right? A few wires here and there, but you could get to everything and it was all right there. None of this. Remove 8 other things to get to this one, the changeover where we can't work on cars anymore. But yeah, I just remember that, like all this room to get in there and take stuff apart.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, you popped open the hood, they had the V8, and you could, hey, if you need to get this spark plug, well, you literally could just reach down, grab it, and pull it out. There was no head cover and then this and then. No, if you need to change something, you change something. Well, I changed when I was in high school, driving down. Was it high school? No, it was my first year of college. I was driving the car down to my half brother was stationed at Parris Island, Beaufort, South Carolina. I was driving down to see him because we were going to repaint the car, needed to be painted again. So he was going to do it on his days off. I was going to go down there. So I was driving to visit him and to help him out. And partway through my drive, my car started like really, it was the Mustang was like really starting to like, felt like it couldn't get gas. Like it was just like really strange. And this, again, this is just a fuel pump. There's no automatic injection, fuel injection or anything like that. So I pull over and pull into this garage and I'm like describing the thing to him. The guy opens it up. And I guess because of what the real reason it had gone bad had caused the hose from the radiator to swell and it looked like it was about to burst. So the guy's like, oh, you need a new radiator hose. And I'm like, I don't think so. But I was like, all right, like, I'm 19 years old. There no cell phones. It's not like I could call my dad and be like, hey, what are we doing?
No Google to double check.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I was like, I don't think that's the case, but okay, yeah, change it. We'll see. So he changed it. Had to let it sit for a while because you can't change out a hot radiator hose. It's going to spray everywhere. So I had to sit and wait. So I went and got food and waited. Then he changed the hose, whatever it cost me. I get literally a mile down the road and it's still doing the same thing. So I was like, I freaking knew it wasn't the hose. So I turn back around and go back to the garage. I'm like, hey, that's not it. I said, I think it's the fuel pump. I said, I'm just going to have to figure out if, how I can get it changed. And he's like, well, I don't think that's it. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take that chance. And there happened to be an auto parts store like right there because it's like in a strip mall. So I went over there and for some reason they had one. And I was like, this is amazing. Because nowadays you wouldn't be able to walk in and be like, hey, I need a fuel pump for a 65 Mustang. They'd be like, get out of the store. What are you doing? Get out.
Right.
So I went and I bought it. And it was literally 3 bolts. That's all I had to change. Well, I didn't have the tools with me. I didn't have the proper ratchet set to do it. So I went and asked the guy, I'm like, look, can I just borrow I'm going to do this myself because I bought it and I know you guys won't put on the part that you didn't purchase or whatever.
Yeah.
So nice enough guy let me borrow. I think it was a 9/16 or whatever, or a 1/2 inch. I went out, 3 bolts, took the old one off, put the new one on, attached it, put the old one in a box and set it in the back seat. and drove off. That was it. It was done.
Yeah.
It was fixed. That was so it was like I did it literally in the parking lot of this strip mall of like I didn't need any, didn't have to hook it up to the computer, didn't have to do it. It's just like, here's a bolt, here's a bolt, here's a bolt, dropped it out, got a bunch of gas all over me, bolted it back in, and went on my way. And then I had to stop. I was just lucky enough because this took a couple of hours by the time you have to let the car cool down so you can change stuff out of it. So I wasn't going to make it all the way to Buford that night. So I was lucky enough that I had friends in 4 Oaks, North Carolina.
Ooh.
Again, there are no cell phones. I had been to their house like maybe 2 other times. It was this girl I had met at like camp, like church camp a couple summers prior. And we just stayed in touch, and I'd gone to visit her a couple different times. So I literally pull off the exit to her house. I don't remember how to get there. I go to like the local diner or whatever it was. And I'm like, hey, I'm trying to find, and I gave her dad's first name. I'm like, do you know where the Birds live? That was her last name, BYRD. I was like, do you know where the Birds live? And they're like, oh yeah. It was some girl that was a waitress. She's like, I'm friends with Melissa. She's like, yeah. And I was like, do you know how I can get there? And I like explained the situation. She's like, hold on. Went to the phone on the wall and called them and said, hey, this guy says he knows you. And then she was like, here's their address. And so I stayed at their house that night. Just like showed up out of the blue, like randomly. No cell phone, no text message, no nothing. It was crazy. I think about that all the time. Like, what were my parents thinking? Like, why would you let a 19-year-old kid drive a car at that point that's 25 years old, that's bound to break down? And it did. Just, go ahead. Drive that with your lap belt down I-95, 8.5 hours. Have fun.
Because that was the world they grew up in. I mean, I know, but seriously, like that was, what do we call it? Real world. Yeah, we all drive a car. They all break down. Like it's just a rite of passage that you're going to be out and it happens, right? It's just, we allowed failure as an acceptable part of life in their time frame, and it became less and less after us. Because my mother would tell me when she was a kid, she's 10 years old, getting on a bus to go to downtown Knoxville, Tennessee to watch Elvis movies at the theater.
Right.
Because that's what you did. And that was allowed. And yes, things could happen, but I guess, again, it was an acceptable, what do we call it, a risk or a lifestyle back in the day that, yeah, something could happen, but it does, right? We can't we can't make everything 100% safe, and that's what, as our societal discussion here, that's what it turned into later on. We can't let the kids fail and can't let them experience this or that. What was it in Maryland a few years ago? The free range kids, where the family let their, I think it was like a 12-year-old take their 8-year-old to walk to Gaithersburg or something.
I don't remember.
Child Protective Services, because this isn't right. And they're like, it's, less than a mile. It's a town. Like, this is not really abnormal if you go back historically, but, I think it was, or Rockville, one of the two, very upset that they were allowed to walk by themselves.
You make a great point about as far as like not allowing failure and like accepting failure. And it's funny because I was just reading, I can't remember where it was from because it's one of those things I saw it like on X or somewhere and then hit the link to. So I don't remember what magazine or study or whatever it was from. But they talked about the video games that we had growing up as Gen X. You had to accept failure as part of your playing the game and mastering the game. There was you really didn't have, unless you got like Nintendo Power Magazine, which came later. You couldn't go on the internet and figure out how to solve the puzzle. You couldn't go on the internet and figure out where these hidden things were.
Or cheat codes.
Right. And you only had so many lives.
Yes.
And there was no save button. There was so playing Mario, you got to a certain point, and if you didn't get all the way through, back to the beginning you go, sir. Like, sorry. That's just the way it was. And now the video games they have, it's constant reward. It's just you can save at any point. You can, find the cheat codes online. You can get your walkthroughs. You can do all that stuff, but it's constantly feeding you. I don't want to say success, but the dopamine hit up. You got this. You got this. There's no failure involved in a lot of these video games.
Yeah.
So they don't learn that failure is acceptable. There's a great guy, and I wish I knew his name. He teaches an entrepreneurial class at Duke. Look this guy up on Instagram or X or whatever it is. I don't know if he's on X. I see him a lot of times on Instagram. And he talks about this all the time, about failure being a pathway to success. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he did with his class, they came in and he partnered them up and gave them all each a deck of cards and made them play Go Fish.
Okay.
Because his whole point was the very beginning of that game, most of the time, you're going to fail. Mm-hmm. Do you have an 8? No. Go fish. Well, you got to know. But you gain information. So every time you get a no or a rejection or whatever it is, you're gaining information. So you're learning. His whole point was you're learning that it's okay to fail. And Go Fish teaches you it's okay to fail because eventually those failures add up to experience and knowledge. And then you become successful. Oh, I know you have a 3. Can I have a 3 or whatever it is? Mm-hmm. It's a really cool class. I mean, from what he posts online, it looks really interesting.
No, I mean, and he's absolutely right. I've had to control myself, like with Tommy in his new car. I had this list in my head. Well, you need to do this and don't do that. And I was like, nope, not going to say these things. Like I had to pull myself back.
Right.
Like you can share a little bit, but it was the overdrive of I need to tell him these 100 things so that he doesn't experience being on the side of the road. Like, and I'll tell you the big one was I was going to say, and there's still a part of me that will figure out where your spare tire is and how that works.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I was going to be like, my thing was, hey, we need to sit down and figure this out. And then I had to pull myself back going, I just need to tell him once, figure out your spare tire and your jack. Just know where it goes and don't say anything else because me being overprotective means, I've stepped too far where maybe one day in a parking lot, hopefully not on the side of the main turnpike, it's, oh crap, I've got a flat tire. What am I doing here? How do I figure,
Right.
Is it, even if it's just calling roadside assistance, figuring out like that needs to be for him as his learning curve of what to do versus me pre-planning all these things for him so he doesn't experience, a negative outcome.
Right. Well, my dad, I mean, again, he was a car guy anyway. I mean, but it was one of those things like, hey, if you're going to have a driver's license, you better know how to change your tires. So, I mean, it was kind of pounded into you at a very young age. Like you need to know how to change this, because you weren't going to have roadside assistance. There was no roadside assistance. There's AAA, but if you're on the side of the road, how are you going to get a hold of AAA? We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So, and again, the one thing of advice and my dad was not somebody who sat there and gave advice or anything else, but the one thing that he always said, and it kind of applies to this type of thing, was anytime you had a situation or a problem in life, he always was like, there's no point in complaining about why the situation happened. Fix the situation and get on with it. And he likened it to change the tire, move on. Because his whole point was, by the time you bitch and complain about, oh, this pothole and why didn't the county fix the pothole, or I got to nail my tire from the stupid construction people, whatever. It's like by the time you went through all that, you could have just taken the tire off, put the spare on, and been on your way. So change your tire and move on. It's the only bit of advice that I've ever taken from my father and been like, you know what? You can apply that to a lot of situations. And it's smart.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
I don't think you're being overprotective. I think you should teach him how to change the tire.
Yeah. Well, we probably will, or at least, like I said, I'm going to mention like, hey, know this part. And again, leave the learning to him. Like maybe he will sit down and figure it out and go look at it. I'll mention it, but he's still got to do the hard work of read the manual, which I know he has been because he said, "Oh, I found this out by reading the driver's." I'm like, "Good for you, bud." So he may already know, but I'm saying we can't let him fail that mindset. And I was just like, no, I need to pull back and give him some parameters to consider. But he's gonna, either learn one day, like, oh, Dad was right. I should have figured out where the jack was in this thing. Maybe he does. I don't know. I found out my car. They didn't tell me at the dealer there is no spare tire.
Yeah,
so,
a lot of them are
it's
that
a
way
thing
now.
Like, I was moving stuff around, said, "Oh, the spare tire," because you think it's in the hatch under the back. It's like,
right.
Oh, there is no spare tire. So there was my lesson, which I didn't have to learn on the side of the road of I'm calling for help if something goes wrong.
Yeah, which it's totally bogus that they don't have spare tires anymore.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Saves them $50.
What's that?
In manufacturing. Saves them $50 in manufacturing costs.
I guess. Does it have a jack? Does your car have a jack or nothing?
Nope. Nothing.
So you are just at the mercy of having somebody come get you.
Yes, absolutely.
That's awful.
There is a can of Fix-A-Flat, and I'm like, okay, so if there's a pinhole, great, but what if the tire is shredded?
Right,
which can happen.
That Fix-A-Flat won't put a patch in the hole in the side of your tire.
Yeah,
if you get in the sidewall, like, what are we doing?
But besides saving money, here's the thing. I'm sure, unlike times past, there's probably data reference that says what is the percentage of time. Well, not even that you would change it. How often does it happen? We always think you're on the side of Route 66 in Oklahoma and it's hot and Jesus Christ, it's 50 miles. What are the data sets that says, that doesn't happen? And probably it's going to be in a parking lot at a mall and you can call, right? You just look at it and go, the risk reward scenario of building this car. Like, do we need to put the spare tire in there? Maybe not. If it's a suburban type car, you live in, say, the greater DC area or something, you have help, right?
Yeah.
That's the world we live in. So,
well, I'm my next car, hopefully I'm going to go old. I'm going to go old school, buy an older car. Cause I don't need all this stuff where they can turn your car off if you've gone too many miles over your whatever it is. They want it's all in 15-minute cities and that nonsense of, paying way more money for each mile that you drive. And it's like you're double taxing at that point.
Well, his car remote starts as a subscription monthly. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So I said, are you going to pay for it? He goes, no. I was like, well, see if they'll let you do it. Like, I will say in Maine winter for about 3 or 4 months, you kind of want it because you want the car warmed up by the time you get there.
Yeah, but
the rest of the time doesn't matter.
I read that. I didn't realize it was Subaru. I didn't know. I had read that they were doing like subscription models for certain things. Next thing it'll be like subscription models. Not only for like XM series, they'll just make you have a subscription model to have any kind of, to do like Apple CarPlay or something like that. They're going to be like, oh, nope, you got to have a subscription for that. That's going to come probably.
Oh, I'm sure. It's money extraction. They'll keep figuring out. My part is, when they say, okay, you need a subscription to have brakes. Well, you bought the car, but here's a subscription for working electric brakes.
I don't know.
That's how bad it can be.
I don't know they could get to that far. That'd be amazing. But yeah, I don't. I can't imagine that they're going to be like for the general things of your car working. They're going to be like, nope, you need a subscription for that.
You never know. I mean, I'm finding out the stuff that private equity is doing in Las Vegas now, like sensors that if the bottle of water gets touched, they charge you. Like that's
Wait, how?
Because everything's on sensors. So they know. That's why the big thing now is, and whether it's true or not, but I've seen it multiple places, like you don't open the fridge, it's on a sensor. Because then they say you were in there. Well, I didn't take anything. It doesn't matter. You opened it, so
I was just looking. I was browsing.
So they say don't touch anything in the rooms. So I don't know. Extra charge for towels. I mean,
yeah, I guess
money extraction.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. But if you just open the fridge, like that's it, that sucks.
People were talking about how bad Vegas has become since a lot of the casinos are now under private equity, and they want to extract every single penny they can get out of you, even if it feels like, are you kidding me? You're charging me $8 for the bottle of water because the bottle moved off the sensor just a certain way, so they take that as it was used. So it's crazy stuff.
Vegas sucks. Glad we're not out there. I've only been one time, and it was for work, so everything was paid for, other than the slight gambling that I did. But yeah, I wasn't that enamored with it. I wasn't like, God, Vegas is fantastic. It's just like, all right. I don't know.
I mean, I used to enjoy it more so when I used to go there a lot, just because, it was a break from the norm. But a lot of things there can be held elsewhere now, so it's not quite what it was, where, like they said, go to Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, just because there's so much to do. If you want it and have money, you can get it. Whatever it is, well, the rest of the world's kind of caught up, so it's not, to me, that special anymore.
It's not the Vegas of the Sinatra days when the mob was in charge. Now as you said, now all the private equity places are in charge. So, all right, we should probably wrap up. We've done a good hour 15 here. I think we covered a lot of different stuff. We'll get to the college basketball stuff in the next couple of weeks once we know kind of who's going to be where. So, you have any parting words for us?
I was going to say, going off our little discussion about afraid of failure, our education as Gen Xers was losing 3 lives and having to put another quarter in the machine to keep going.
That is definitely true. We definitely had a lot of that going on. So I will leave you with some fine words from the great Frank Sinatra, who once said that alcohol is man's worst enemy, but the Bible says to love your enemy.
This concludes this episode of Gen X Men with Bill Rowland and Gary Dollarhite. Gen X Men is now off the air.